If you played Yu-Gi-Oh way back in the day, you probably remember how it went. You'd set a monster, maybe a trap card, and hope your blue eyes white dragon was bigger than whatever your friend had. Simple, right? Well, the game today is a whole different animal. So let's dig into how this card game we all knew transformed into the lightning-fast, unstoppable machine it is now. Yeah, that game you remember, where you'd summon one big monster and pass the turn? That's pretty much gone. Today, a duel can be decided by this flawless, non-stop combo on the very first turn. We're talking game over before you even get to draw a card.
So how in the world did we get here? This gigantic shift has created a power gap so big it feels like we're talking about two completely different games. We've gone from the schoolyard playground to a full-on, high-tech, strategic battlefield.
And honestly, this contrast says it all. On one side, you have that beautiful, iconic simplicity, a single awesome monster like Dark Magician. And on the other, well, that's the reality of a modern Yu-Gi-Oh board. It's a tangled web of monsters, each with paragraphs of text, creating a puzzle that feels almost impossible to solve. It's like the entire philosophy of the game has flipped. The classic era was like a chess match. It was all about managing your resources, thinking ahead, should I use my one normal summon now or wait? But today, it's all about speed. The goal is to just explode onto the field with a ton of special summons and build a board so strong your opponent literally can't play.
So what's the force behind this unbelievable escalation? Well, it's a concept you see in a lot of long-running games, but Yu-Gi-Oh might just be the most extreme example out there. Let's break down this engine of change. It's called power creep. At its heart, power creep is actually pretty simple. To sell new packs of cards, the new cards, they have to be better than the old cards, right? Otherwise, why would anyone buy them? It's a slow, gradual process. But you stretch that out over 2 decades, and that slow burn has created this massive divide that makes older cards totally unusable in the modern game. And this creates a very deliberate cycle, driven by both business and game design. Konami drops a new, super powerful set of cards. This makes the old decks way less effective, which pushes players to buy the new stuff just to keep up. So with every new release, the power level inches up, and that gap between the old and new just gets wider and wider. For anyone who's been a fan for a long time, this feeling is all too familiar. Cards that were absolute titans on the playground, the kings of early tournaments, they're basically relics now. Kind of like they've been left in a dusty attic, completely outclassed by this new era. Let's look at some real examples, what we call archetypes, which are just families of cards that work together. Yugi's ace, Dark Magician, he's just too slow to set up against a modern board full of things that say no. Six Samurai once felt unstoppable and fast, but now they get completely run over. Even huge, fan-favorite archetypes like Hero are just too slow, too fragile compared to what's at the top of the meta today. But, talking about this power gap in the abstract is one thing. Seeing it in action is something else entirely. So let's try to put some actual numbers to it. Let's quantify just how much a top-tier, modern deck can do on its very first turn, and you might want to brace yourself. On average, a top deck is going to special summon, that's summoning outside the normal 1 per turn limit, over 8 monsters. 8! That's an entire field of powerful threats, usually from the extra deck, all before you've even had a chance to play a single card. And those monsters aren't just sitting there looking pretty. Nope. A standard competitive board is going to end with 3 to 5 points of interaction. That's a fancy way of saying they can negate your monster effects, your spells, your traps multiple times. They can basically just say no to everything you try to do. And all of this generates an insane amount of card advantage. Through all their combos, a modern deck can search, draw, or recycle over 15 cards from their deck in one turn. They don't just find their best cards, they literally assemble their entire winning strategy from scratch. So here's the key takeaway. Modern decks aren't just playing monsters anymore, they're building a fortress. Every single monster is another wall, and every negation effect is another guard tower, and they build this whole defense system in one explosive turn. And this is what that fortress looks like. It's this intricate, overwhelming board with layers and layers of protection and resources ready to shut you down. So when you finally draw your first card, you look across the field at that, and the question just becomes, how do you even begin to attack it? This is all possible because of what players have started calling unfair mechanics. You've got cards that give you basically infinite extensions, letting a player keep their combo going long after you thought it should have ended. Modern decks are so consistent they can play through multiple hand traps, cards you play from your hand to try and stop them. And their boards have so many layers of protection, they're often immune to being targeted, destroyed, or both.
But all of this mechanical escalation, it's not just about the cards themselves. It has a very real impact on the people who love and play this game. So let's talk about the human cost of this constant power-up.
What we're seeing now is a really divided community. On one side, you have these veteran competitive players who absolutely thrive on the high-level strategy and the complex puzzle-solving of modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But on the other side, you have new players, or even old players trying to come back, and they're met with a learning curve that's, well, it's less of a curve and more of a vertical cliff.
This sentiment right here just perfectly captures the whole issue. It used to be that you could take a fun, kind of silly deck to your local card shop and have a good time. But now, that gap isn't just a gap. It's a chasm. A casual deck can't even play against a competitive one. And that makes it really hard for friends who are at different levels to just enjoy a simple duel. And this barrier to entry has 3 big parts, and all of them are just getting bigger. There's the financial cost, right? Buying the best cards. Then there's the massive time investment you need to learn all these complex combos and matchups. And then there's just the sheer complexity of the rules and understanding how thousands of unique cards all interact with each other. It's a lot.
This whole situation puts the publisher Konami in a really tough spot. I mean, their business model is built on selling new, exciting, more powerful cards. But if they push that power level too far, they risk making the game so intimidating that they scare away the huge casual audience that the game was built on in the first place. It's a really, really difficult balancing act.
Which kind of leaves us all with one final big question. Is this constant escalation just the natural evolution of a deep and complex strategy game? Or has it become something else, like an unsustainable arms race, where every new set is just a bigger weapon, making the battlefield more and more hostile? The future of the game might just depend on that answer.